Well, hello and welcome along to another edition of the Andrew Eborn Show, where I'm delighted that my guest is none other than KB Bayley. How are you doing, KB?
Good morning, Andrew. It's great to be here. I'm pretty good. Thank you. Pretty good.
It's fantastic. Yeah. And whereabouts are you at the moment?
I'm in Hertfordshire, a place called Bushy, just outside Watford. And I'm actually talking...
Well, we like Watford.
Oh, you like Bushy? Yeah. I'm actually talking to you from the room where the record was made, which is pretty humble. Some sort of... pretty basic foam stuck on the walls. This is where it all happened.
This is what we love. We love peeking behind the scenes. The great thing about these looking at people's living rooms and recording studios and that, and musicians always have like at least one instrument behind them. So you've got your guitar. But
it's
you actually,
artfully staged, isn't it? Let's be fair.
Brilliant. Come on, it's lovely. But it's not even one of those fake backdrops that people have. You know, it's real stuff. But talking about instruments, you can play all sorts of things. Talk me through what you play.
Well, I've been passionate about guitars since I was a very little lad, which I have to say was a long while ago, and just obsessed with all things guitars. Fundamentally acoustic, to be honest, Andrew. I have various diversions in the 80s where I had really bad hair, worse than this, and played in a variety of bands and tried my hand at being an electric hero, which never really worked. I wasn't that guy. And really, I sort of returned to my roots, which is songs and acoustic guitar. The thing that makes me possibly a little bit off the beaten track is my love for both lap steel guitar and the dobro. They're two instruments that I love very much. Now they were used heavily on the record, so both of those you actually play by sort of sitting them on your lap. I always regard them, they're the sort of slightly simpler cousin of the pedal steel guitar, which of course you hear in country music, but these are acoustic instruments and you play them with a steel bar. And I've played slide guitar, kind of Rory Gallagher thing, all my life from a young age, but I got into lap steel really quite late in life and I'm obsessed by it. You know, I would spend every hour I'm not either working or making a record, I would spend playing lap steel because I just love it.
I love the sound of lap steel, and you sit there on a creaky old bench and you get that all comes over in your wonderful records, doesn't it?
Well, that's very kind. Thank you. And a few people who obviously got quite good headphones who listen hard to the record will send me a message, say, yeah, I can really hear this. The chair I'm talking to you now, I can hear it creaking. You know, what I did say is I muted out all the sounds of me sort of yelling at my family not to slam the bathroom door in the middle of a take. That really is home recording, but you know, it's good fun. I hope it's honest.
When people have been cleaning up recordings and things like that, it's a bit of a shame because some of those authentic sounds, you want the creakiness, you want the steps in Abbey Road which you walk up and down, you want people slamming doors in the background, don't you?
Oh, you're entirely right. I mean, I was a few years ago hugely influenced by the artist Beck, if you remember him. And I remember seeing an interview with him and he said, the best bit of a record for me is when somebody walks in the middle of a take and says, here's your pizza. And you know, that's great. And maybe on my next record, I'll absolutely have the courage to leave that in. My lovely daughter bringing me in a cup of tea just as I'm recording some vocals, which she did regularly, I have to say.
Oh, right. What's your daughter called? We should give her a shout out for her then.
She's called Annabelle. She's buzzing around the house somewhere. I did actually ask her to be quiet in, you know, acknowledgement of the business you and I are doing this morning, but she's looking forward to hearing
Annabelle? How old's Annabelle?
Annabelle is 23 and she's a super musician in her own right. She's a pianist. She plays lovely piano and far better pianist than me, but I couldn't afford her rates for the album, to be honest.
Oh, is that right? So proud father. I mean, was your family musical?
It's very interesting. Not obviously. My mum, who left us in 2012, and about whom the song North Coast Girl is written about and dedicated to. She was a beautiful singer, although completely untrained. And she unusually, she had quite a low voice. She had a distinctive low vocal, which was lovely. My dad was an engineer. He wasn't a musician at all. And quite late in life, I discovered that my mum's uncle actually ran a music school. So there's obviously a little bit of DNA there, but it's pretty hidden. I mean, I'm entirely self-taught. I think I did 3 or 4 grades of piano when I was young and then, you know, gave them up sadly. And I really, the moment I picked up a guitar, I just decided that was for me. And that was at a pretty young age. Probably like to give a shout out to my big brother, actually, who Bob Bayley, who is a super English folk guitar player. And he was really my first guitar hero, my first inspiration. And I remember we're talking the sort of early 70s here, Andrew. And I remember I would walk into his bedroom and he would have played at a folk club somewhere. And his bedroom was just a sort of den of vice and excitement for a little lad growing up on the South Coast. And there would be a big Martin guitar lying on the floor and possibly a half-empty bottle of something and a Woodstock poster on the wall. And I think my love of the music I love now comes from those sort of early memories, really.
And it is wonderful. Apart from, I mean, your brother was a big influence on you. I mean, you talk about your influences in your various writings, which I've seen, and it's quite a diverse range, isn't it? Talk to me about those, all the way from James Taylor, all the way to some people may not recognize as readily as James.
Yes, I mean, for me, that's a super question, and it's sort of it's kind of two eras and two countries. Yeah. So you go back to that little lad standing in front of the Woodstock poster sometime in the early 70s, and all those names, you know, sort of James Taylor, Joan Baez, and the Grateful Dead, you know, I could barely read them. I'm going, yeah, who are these guys? But I was fascinated by them. And of course, I then got into their music, Crosby, Stills and Nash, you know, fantastic stuff. The ability for someone just to sit with an acoustic guitar and tell a story and actually reach people, you know, I think there are probably very few better than Joni. First time I heard her, even as a little kid, I was just completely blown away. And then you go through sort of growing up on the South Coast and playing in bands and punk and new wave. You jump forward quite a few years. And for me personally, it was almost like a second wave of all the amazing Nashville artists around now. And I'm talking about Chris Stapleton, Jason Isbell, who's my absolute hero. You know, I worship the ground he walks on. Gretchen Peters, who I've seen on a number of occasions, is a lovely lady, incredible songwriter. You know, a guy who I'm proud to call a friend, Ben Glover, who actually sang on the record. Yes. And I remember walking in, he was supporting Gretchen in 2013, and I walked into the St. Albans Arena just as he started his set, and I was spellbound. Again, it's that thing of the guy or the lady just with an acoustic guitar, pretty much, you know, without any adornments, just singing to a crowd, whether they've got a mic or not. And it excited me when I was 6, and I'm a lot older than 6 now, and it still excites me. And that's kind of what I'm always trying to do, I guess.
And it must be very different. I mean, it is seeing those great people on stage and the great guitar players. And that's all you need when you whittle it back to just a guitar and telling a fantastic story through the music. That's really powerful.
I hope so. And I think, you know, I love all sorts of music, and I know I've referred to Tom Waits quite a lot in my influences, who is a huge influence on me. Also with his writing, because he's a very interesting guy. You know, he's an actor, and you know, he's married to an incredible screenwriter, and he writes about creating things in a very interesting way. And I remember him talking about music many years ago, and he just said, all I'm looking for is stuff that's honest. So if you hear a good club record or an electronic music, or, you know, a pop hit, you go, yeah, that's fantastic. Good luck to you. You've hit the top of the charts, and you're an amazing artist with a cool voice, and you've got an earworm that everyone loves. Me personally, what I gravitate to is the guy who sits with the acoustic guitar, who strips everything away and kind of goes for that magic line. So if you look at someone like a Jason Isbell, you know, everyone in the world has tried to write a love song about someone they love. And he, you know, he's wonderful wife, Amanda Shires, and he sits down to write her a song. And instead of just a normal love song, he says, if we were vampires, we'd live forever. Now that, to me, that's the kind of interesting twist. You know, he's saying if we live for vampires, death would be a joke. We'd never worry about it because we'd be together forever. And you listen to the words of that song, you go, oh yes, that's the holy grail. That's what we're all striving for.
And well, you mentioned Tom Waits. I mean, he famously said all you need are 3 things for writing a song. You need a place, the weather, and something to drink, doesn't he?
Absolutely right.
So
one of my favorite quotes.
Yeah, absolutely. But so what's your favorite tip, or what do you have when you're writing songs?
Oh, that's a good question. It's strangely, it's not particularly sexy, but early morning is quite good for writing songs, sort of 8 a.m. I'm a big coffee fan, Andrew. I love firing up an espresso and getting busy on any of the guitars lying about. So either end of the day in the morning. And a good mate of mine, who's both an amazing bass player and also a top athlete, he refers to my other end of the day as the owl hours. So it's quite shocking. I'm sure I'm not alone in saying, you know, the number of ideas that come to you at midnight, and you know, might be just a little sip of red wine, possibly, maybe something stronger if we're in the holidays, something from Kentucky, you know, with a bit of ice, a little shot. And really all you do is noodle. And people often ask where the ideas come from, and I kind of have 2 bins. I have a bin of musical ideas with chords and maybe just little directions that I've picked up and put down, recorded on my phone. And then you've got another little sort of batch of lyrical ideas, you know, all that aspire to be as good as a Waits or an Isbell. Right. And really, you'll either sit there at 8 a.m. or 1 a.m. and just fiddle about, and maybe two of them will collide. I mean, the song on the album, Little Thunderstorms, the title song, that went through quite a few variations before it sort of landed. It had completely different lyrics, and then it had a completely different melody, and eventually it, you know, it comes out somewhere.
And that creative process, when these ideas come, and I talk to a lot of people on the show about the whole idea, the creative process, if you like, and it varies dramatically. Of course. When you have an idea, do you have a pen and paper by the side of your bed? Do you have a dictaphone? Do you speak into your phone? How do you do it?
I love answering that question, and I tell you why. Just to confess on air, I've only one little addiction in my life, which my wife knows about, and it's to notebooks. I absolutely love notebooks. So but there's a punchline, which is whenever we go away, you know, I'll walk into a little shop. I need another leather notebook and a pencil, and this is going to where all my magic is going to be stored. And of course, it never happens, because these days everything's on your phone. So I've got a note memo on my phone, which has got, you know, lyrical ideas for the next album. I think I'm sort of halfway through the first song for the next album, and the voice memo thing on my phone is used all the time, and I've got stuff of me, you know, crossing a road in the middle of London, risking death by singing a melody and going, let's hope this works, you know, January the 18th on the Euston Road, and you just hum something, and it's a bit like, you know, they could just whiz by and they're gone and they're never heard of again. Or I think this is the exciting thing, if you then go back to it in the owl hours and record it and put it on a record, might be a year later, I might be fortunate enough to be speaking to someone like you about a song that's out there on Spotify, and that's quite exciting, I think, about the whole process.
But I'm with you. I love the idea of writing things down on really a little leather-bound thing from something like Smithson's or something like that. They do the glorious the paper and stuff. It is wonderful. So are you a bit of a hoarder? Do you keep all those old notes?
Absolutely, got them all over the place, and a lot of the stuff I've written prior to the days of smartphones, all in notebooks, yes, stored away in boxes and, you know, on the shelves. I try and keep this room where I actually make music, try and keep it kind of sparse. I keep all the papers and the stuff, so I just devote this room to actually making noises. So there's microphones and speakers at the other side of the camera. But yeah, it is just a case of capturing them. The other thing I'd say, and I'm not alone in this, is walking. You know, walking's fantastic for quite often. I mean, the whole record I often think was sort of semi-written, you know, or semi-mixed in my head during lockdown back in the spring. It was obviously recorded at home, and then I would just mix rough demos, and I'd walk over the hills near here, you know, very glamorous around Watford, just with the mixes so far going around your head and going, you know, Charlie, who's playing pedal steel on that, sounds fantastic. KB, the vocals are dreadful, you've got to do them again, you know. And that's just, anyone around here would have just seen this guy walking, muttering to himself, listening to the same song over and over again in his ears.
Yeah. And it is wonderful. I mean, people at the moment, I say we have a lot of creatives come on show, and they talk about their time, and you need that fix of a live audience, and it's been very difficult. Well, whilst we can communicate in this way, it's a new way of being very intimate, if you like, and you're going to people's living rooms and their recording studios and stuff. A lot of people say they really miss the fix of a live audience. How do you cope with that?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I absolutely feel for a lot of the people whose livelihood is live music. I'm hugely fortunate because I do a lot of recorded music, you know, sort of during the day. I play a lot live. I was playing a lot live. I think my last live show was probably February of 2020. You know, we have to believe, I have great hope in the vaccine that soon we'll come out of this and life will return. On that, when I'm writing, I remember reading a quote by the great Clive James, who's much missed, and he says, even the most intimate lyric is written with performance in mind. And that's how I feel. So even if, you know, we are, let's hope not, but 9 months away from another live show, and I'm sitting working in the owl hours on a song, in my mind I'm thinking I'm going to play this to somebody, even if it's only 5 people or 10 people, or it's going to be a nice big theatre, you know, supporting someone I know. I always have that in my mind. So I just have this slightly innocent, naive belief that I'll be out again gigging soon. Yes, I miss it. I've got a few really good friends who are doing some wonderful live streams. And what's lovely...
a live stream?
Yes, it's a good question. I haven't yet. I think I probably are going to have to get into it this year. I think it's because I spend...
What we should do is next time, get you back on the show, and this will be like, because I love your voice, I love your lyrics.
Very kind.
We'll absolutely get you doing an acoustic version, and you can bring out all those different instruments, and maybe even get your daughter to do something as well on piano.
We're on for that. You're the inspiration I need to do
I love that.
I've sort of, nice and lo-fi. We just set up Zoom and we play, and it sounds like it sounds.
Your people will speak to my people, will make it happen. I love Cold Rain.
You know what? That'd be wonderful.
It'd be really good. I love Cold Rain
single.
We'll be seeing some of that as well. And really good luck with the album, Little Thunderstorms. People will be able to listen to the inspiration behind that. And next time you join us, KB, we'll have an acoustic version of some of your favorite stuff as well.
I would look forward to it, Andrew. Thank you so much for that.
It's been a real pleasure. Thank you very much for being my guest.
Real pleasure to you too. Thank you. Really enjoyed it.
Bye. So thank you again to KB Bayley, and talking about his brilliant album, Little Thunderstorms. Do watch out next time for the Andrew Eborn Show, where he promised that he will be back and playing acoustic versions, various things from that superb album, and a little bit more as well. We might even get to meet his daughter on piano. Anyway, if you'd like to have any suggestions, or you want to have any thoughts about the show, write to guests@octopustv.com. That's guests@octopustv.com. Don't forget, you can follow me at Andrew Eborn at octopustv on all of the usual platforms. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and elsewhere. But for me, for now, thank you again to KB. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.